What up, the Lions Nation Night? I am Easy. Today, we're going to be talking about Tate Ratledge taking over the center position. But first, I need you guys to do me the biggest favor in the world. All right. Can you just send me all your refrigerator appliances from your home? Just send them to me. I'm going to resell them. I'm thinking about starting a business here, make a little extra cash. I'd very much appreciate it. Or you hit the like button, whatever you prefer. You let me know. But like I said, today we're going to be talking about Tate Ratledge taking over the center position for the Detroit Lions. Maybe not. A couple things to discuss there too. And bear with me. This is an early morning recording. I don't know if you guys ever noticed. A lot of people, at least I'll confess myself, I have a morning face, and it's just not your normal face. It's like a uglier version of you, is what I'm going to call it. And I'm recording this in the morning with severe sinuses and allergies. So let's just get through it. All right. Smash the like button. All right. So one of the most interesting things coming out of the Detroit Lions minicamp this year, to me, was Tate Ratledge starting the first team periods at the center position. If I wanted to clickbait this one, if I wanted to get the reactions out of people, I would say Tate Ratledge to replace Frank Ragnow. But that's not the case. Not this year, at least. I understand that Frank Ragnow is flirted with retirement. He said he's not going to play if Hank Fraley isn't there. He has an inoperable toe. But the reality is Frank Ragnow is a competitor. He's amongst the top of the game. The Detroit Lions are close to winning a Super Bowl, and we still have Hank Fraley. I don't think Frank Ragnow is going anywhere within the next 1 to 2 years. Maybe unless we lose in heartbreaking fashion this year in the playoffs, which I hope doesn't happen. But we're moving on from that one. I don't think Frank Ragnow's getting replaced this year. I just want to get that narrative out the way. I don't know if anyone's spinning it that way. I don't think that's what's going on here. What I do believe is going on is a scenario between one of two things. Because you're talking about the center position on the offensive line. If anybody's ever played high school football, or actually, I learned this in college through my cousin who played college ball at Northwestern. The center is like the quarterback of the offensive line. You have to know your safety rotations. You have to read the fronts. You have to read the blitzes. Like you are calling everything out. You not only need to know your job, you need to know the job of the guy to the left of you, the guy to the right of you, and honestly, even the tackles as well. Like you are the brain trust of the offensive line beyond the quarterback. And obviously, the quarterback can make calls. That's what that's what they're there for. They are the brain trust of the offense. But just compartmentalizing it. All right, breaking it down a little bit there. Your center is in charge of the offensive line, and so I think putting Tate Ratledge in that situation, it's a fast track to learning the offense. It's a fast track for him getting to know the entire interior offensive line versus just one position. If they would have just tossed him in at guard, plug and play, which honestly you probably could do if he's able to get the offense down quick enough. I do think we have quite the complicated run scheme. I've read this from defensive coordinators that one of the things that bothers other teams when they play the Detroit Lions is the fact that they could seamlessly transition from a power run scheme to a gap run scheme, and it's just it's hard to keep up with in formations. And the other thing too is you don't typically see that around the league because it's hard to teach offensive linemen. Guys that have been in the league for a long time have struggled with that concept of being able to transition fluidly from that. The Detroit Lions offensive line has been doing that for the past 3 years seamlessly. And it's also had the multiple different guys filling in certain places in spur of the moments, and guys, play out of position in a situation like I can't think of his name, Big Dan Skipper, playing guard and then playing tackle, getting his first snaps at left tackle. Like we've been able to make it work, and I think that's big credit to Hank Fraley, as he has been your offensive line coach since Matt Patricia was here, and he's one of the best in the league. I know it's a bad name to say, probably should have mentioned that name. Whatever, it came out. I think it's a fast track to learn the offensive line for Tate Ratledge. I really do. And I think that's like why they cross-train a lot of these guys to begin with. On top of just the versatility is very, very valuable to them as an organization because you never know who's going to go down. But I think the other reason why, remember I said one of two things. The second reason why is the fact that right now at right guard, the guy ahead of him, more than likely, is probably going to be Graham Glasgow. And I want to be careful with this one because I rock with Graham personally, but I'll be honest about it. Last year was probably his worst year in a very long time. And whether that's due to injuries, whether that's due to him climbing up there in age, it happened. And so, as a precaution, you know, that is the bread and butter of this offense is the offensive line. Yes, Jared Goff is good when he has an offensive line. He needs that time to read the field, go through his progressions, especially now you're entering a new phase of a different offense. Like I know a lot of people's thinking this offense could be turnkey from Ben Johnson, and like very much may be the case, but you got to think as well, like that's now a division opponent that knows your entire offense if you're just leaving it the way it was. A guy who was the architect of it, quite literally. So I think something's going to change. And again, Graham Glasgow having that bad year. Okay, let's obviously Tate's going to be competing for that right guard spot. And you can save a lot of money if you do release Graham Glasgow, or cut Graham Glasgow, I should say. And his value in the locker room right now, beyond a veteran and beyond on the field, knowing the playbook, is the fact that he also can play center for you. He's played all three interior low offensive line positions and fairly well. But the most important one that he has right now for the Detroit Lions beyond the right guard spot is the fact that if anything happened to our Pro Bowl, All-Pro center, Frank Ragnow, with the inoperable toe, who seems to be getting banged up, dinged up every single year now, is the fact that he can step in and play center for you fairly well. So it only makes sense if you're giving Tate a fair opportunity to compete against Graham Glasgow for that position, or just for the job in the offensive line room. I'm not talking about just the job at right guard. The job in the offensive line room is you got to teach him how to play center as well. And I kind of think that's what's going on here. And I also just want to step back and appreciate just where this franchise is too. The fact that we're able to draft a guy with as much upside as Tate Ratledge, and he might not even play his first year. Like you had, like you're everywhere else, your starters are so locked in right now that like you're able to sit back and relax and cross train these guys and find out where they best fit instead of forcing Frank Ragnow to play left guard. Matt Patricia, like you're able to find like where they're going to be. You're able to cross train them to fill in at any given spot, and they're still like primo talent, in my opinion, in Tate Ratledge. Primo talent, in my opinion, in Miles Frazier. Like to be able to have those guys and put them on shuffle across the offensive line because they're sit back, chilling. They're not forced to start right away. Although again, Tate may come out and win that job, and I wouldn't be surprised by that. The only reason why I would probably have Graham over him right now is the fact that again, it's a complicated run scheme. It really is, and Graham's been in it for the past 2 years, past 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. No, I think just the past 2 years, 23, 24. And so I think that's a leg up in Graham. And I do think Graham is good. I think Graham might have been more banged up than a decline in his actual skill set last year. I've had conversations with him, not like anything crazy like that, but just like, how's the season going? Oh, I'm f***ed up. I'm not supposed to say that word in this channel. We'll just we'll take that part out. I'm banged up. That's probably the word I should have went with there. And now I got to go back and edit that and post. It is what it is. But so I think Frank probably starts there. But it's just nice to know your franchise is somewhere where not only are they still competing and contending at a Super Bowl level, not just like, oh, maybe we make the playoffs. No, you are one of the 5 teams expected to not just be in the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. And while you're doing that, you're able to build up the next generation of offensive line that's going to service whoever may be there at quarterback, because the one piece that you have, and I'm hoping for the next forever, is Jahmyr Gibbs. And regardless of who's calling the plays, right? Because I can't tell you guys it's going to be a top 5 offense. I would be lying to you if I told you I think there's going to be a top 5 offense next year. I need to see it. What I do think is this offense is so talented with every piece around them. You put an offensive line like that in front of a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, my 5-year-old son could call the plays, and they're going to still score the rock. They're still going to score some touchdowns. And I think that's what's the beauty of this right now. Despite you calling the plays, you got guys that are again, primo talent, getting cooked up by some of the best offensive line coaching in the league. And this offense is not going to lose a step simply because, well, they might, Might lose some consistency. How about that? But you still have a fighting chance in every single game because these guys are so great everywhere. Brad Holmes, his scouting staff, and this coaching staff has done a tremendous job. I do want to segue this a little bit into Giovani Manu. I know a lot of people are kind of losing their patience on that one. It's been 1 year. The big example I'd bring up for that is Jordan Mailata, the guy that was drafted in the second round from New Zealand for the Philadelphia Eagles, who sat for 2 years before becoming one of the best tackles in the game. Let's give that some time, guys. That's what you're looking at with Giovani Manu, and a guy that was drafted even later than Jordan Mailata. And I think obviously talent wise, skill set wise, let's take skill set out. I apologize. Raw talent wise, that's a guy that could probably turn into something. Let's give that 2 to 3 years minimum before we start the disrespect for the Giovani Manu pick. By the way, not a fan of the trade in that one either, if you guys are wondering. But I do like the pick at the end of the day. It's a primo position, left or right tackle, whatever he ends up going. I know there's some speculation, maybe playing guard. Well, it turns out you just drafted two guys that may play guard for you. So I'm thinking he's probably going to play left tackle after Taylor Decker retires or whatever happens there. And that's on the timeline trajectory of when you should have some expectations for Giovani Manu, guys. Let's relax a little bit. And if not, nothing wrong with a little competition in that locker room as well, between he, Frazier, and Tate Ratledge at this point. But that is it for me, guys. I'm going to wrap this one up. Please comment down below what type of mini camp topics you would like me to cover moving forward. Make sure you smash that like button. It means the world to us. If you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and do that as well. And make sure you guys are grabbing the latest and greatest Detroit Lions merch on Lions Nation Unite. If you guys are big fans of Herman Moore, big fans of Lomas Brown, we got exclusive merch featuring those two Detroit legends as well. But I gotta blow my nose. I'm not gonna lie. My sciences are building up. I'm out of here.